Welcome to day 4 of the Build a Fundraising Strategy in 5 Days Challenge. So far, we've set your fundraising goal, mapped out your donor strategy, and chosen the right fundraising activities for your nonprofit. But planning isn't enough. Today, we're creating an action plan that ensures your fundraising efforts get implemented effectively and consistently. By the end of today, you'll have a step-by-step fundraising execution plan, clear roles and responsibilities for your team, a timeline that keeps your fundraising efforts on track, and a system to measure success and adjust strategies as needed. Just a reminder, your workbook for today is available to standard and all access pass society members. Your fundraising action plan templates are exclusive to all Access Pass members. If you're not a member, you can join at nonprofitfounders.club/join society to access all the resources. All right, let's get started. Step 1, breaking down your fundraising activities into actionable steps. So planning fundraising activities is great, but without breaking them into clear, actionable steps, it's easy to get overwhelmed and lose momentum. Think of it like training for a marathon. You don't just say, I'm going to run 26.2 miles and then do it. You create a training plan with smaller goals to get there. The same applies to fundraising. If you only write down run a fundraising campaign, it's too broad and no one knows exactly what to do. You need to break it down into clear, manageable tasks so that your team knows what needs to happen and when. So let me give you an example. I worked with a nonprofit that wanted to launch a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. They had great intentions, but their entire plan was written as launch a peer-to-peer campaign. That was it. No specifics, no timeline, no responsibilities assigned. As a result, everything got pushed back, and when they finally launched, it was rushed and ineffective. After working together, we broke their plan down into clear steps. Number 1, choose a campaign platform. Example, Classy. Number 2, recruit at least 20 ambassadors to fundraise. Number 3, create templates for fundraising pages and emails. Number 4, set up a 6-week promotional calendar. And last, launch with a kickoff event or webinar. So by turning these vague ideas into an actionable roadmap, they doubled their fundraising goal in just 6 weeks. Okay, so here is your exercise. Turn your fundraising activities into actionable steps. So for each of your fundraising activities, write down 3 to 5 specific tasks that need to happen for it to be successful. The clearer your steps, the easier it will be to execute. So the one thing I want you to hear is that fundraising success comes from breaking big goals into smaller, manageable actions. The more detailed your plan, the smoother your execution. All right, next, step 2, assigning roles and responsibilities. So many fundraising plans fail because there's no clear accountability. Without knowing who is responsible for what, important tasks get overlooked and everyone assumes someone else will handle them. The result, missed deadlines, stalled progress, and last-minute scrambling. So let me share a quick story. I once worked with a nonprofit that had a great fundraising plan, but no one knew who was in charge of executing it. The team had planned a donor appreciation event, but when I asked who was securing the venue, sending invitations, and organizing the catering, I was met with silence. Everyone assumed someone else was handling those details. And so guess what? I was elected the person for for it all. Now, sound familiar? The event was thrown together at the last minute and attendance suffered because invitations went out too late. So, to avoid this kind of confusion, every fundraising plan needs clear ownership of tasks. When each person knows exactly what they are responsible for and when it's due, things get done on time and with less stress. All right, so you should be assigning roles for your fundraising tasks. And this should be happening for everything. And for major fundraising activities, assign a lead person who oversees all related tasks and ensures progress is being made. Typically, if you have someone that you've hired that's your fundraising person, will be your lead person. But it could be, if you have a working board, maybe it's the chair of your fundraising committee. The point is, you need one person responsible for it all to make sure that it gets done. All right. If you don't hear anything else, hear this. When every task has a clear owner and deadline, fundraising plans actually get executed. Without accountability, even the best plans will struggle to succeed. All right, step 3, setting a realistic timeline. Some fundraising activities need to happen over weeks or months. Without a realistic timeline, you might rush or miss important deadlines. A well-structured timeline keeps your fundraising on track without last-minute stress. I remember working with a nonprofit that planned to launch a year-end giving campaign. They had a great fundraising goal, an exciting donor appeal, and a compelling impact story, but they waited until November 25th to start planning. That left only 5 days before Giving Tuesday. They scrambled to put together emails, social media posts, and donation pages. The result? A campaign that felt rushed, missing much needed storytelling moments that could have maximized donations. Following year, they mapped out their campaign 4 months in advance, assigning key milestones along the way. Their Giving Tuesday revenue tripled because they were able to properly plan, promote, and engage donors ahead of time. That's the power of a fundraising timeline. All right, so let's talk about how to structure your timeline. So a well-planned fundraising timeline includes start and end dates, know when to begin planning and when the fundraiser will close. Next, key milestones. Identify important deadlines. Examples: when to secure sponsorships, when to launch marketing, and when to follow up with donors. And last, your promotion period. Don't wait until the last minute. Build in lead time to engage your audience and get them excited to give. All right, so it's time for you to create a fundraising timeline. So for each fundraising activity, assign a start and end dates to ensure your team stays on schedule. All right, here's a pro tip. Give yourself a buffer. Things always take longer than expected. So if you need 6 weeks to plan, schedule 8. You can always be happy that you are ahead of schedule, but sometimes you can get behind schedule and just never catch up. All right, so if you hear nothing else, I want you to hear that a structured timeline ensures that your fundraising goals stay on track without last-minute chaos. So plan ahead to set your nonprofit up for success. All right, let's move to the final step, step 4. And that is measuring success and making adjustments. So fundraising plans should be flexible. You need to track progress, measure results, and adjust strategies when needed. If an activity isn't working, you should know early enough to pivot. I once worked with a nonprofit that planned a silent auction as part of their annual gala. They expected it to bring in at least $20,000, but by the event's halfway point, bidding was much lower than anticipated. Fortunately, they had a contingency plan in place for such situations. Instead of just hoping for the best, they adjusted in real time, announcing a limited time bidding extension, offering bonus incentives, and encouraging higher bids with a donor match challenge. Now, their backup strategy allowed them to act quickly and decisively. By making those quick adjustments, they closed the gap and hit their fundraising target by the end of the night. See, this is why tracking your fundraising activities as they happen is essential. If something isn't working, you should be able to tweak it before it's too late. All right, so your action plan today is to define your success metrics. For each fundraising activity, determine how you will measure success. What are the goals and how are you going to know when you've hit those goals? Here's a pro tip. Success isn't just about hitting your goal. It's also about learning what worked, what didn't, and how to improve for next time. You hear nothing else. I want you to hear that tracking your fundraising helps you refine your approach and make smarter decisions. All right, your action step is to use the workbook's fundraising tracking template to measure progress and adjust as needed. And that's if you are a member of the society. Okay, it's another day, and we have packed a lot of valuable insights into this little video. So now it's time for you to put what you've learned into action. If you are a standard and all access pass member, make sure you check for your workbooks and download them today. I want you to use your templates if you're an all access pass member to create your action plan. And then break down your fundraising activities into clear steps, assign roles, and set deadlines. And you don't have to have the workbooks or anything to do that. So that is your marching orders for today. All right, it's your turn. What's one fundraising task that you're tackling this month? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. All right, here's a reminder. If you're not a society member yet, you can join at nonprofitfounders.club/join society to access all the workbooks and templates for the entire challenge. And you can do that today. All right, but tomorrow we'll dive into donor stewardship and keeping your fundraising sustainable. So I will see you in day 5.